who Idris is the father of the grandfather of Nuh. Idris is the father of the grandfather of Nuh. So Nuh is his fourth grandson to Idris alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Nuh. And between Nuh and Adam, 1,000 years. And Nuh was revealed to him by Allah Azza wa Jal to call to Allah. He was a prophet and he was a messenger, and he is from the Ulil Azmi min al-Rusul, from the top 5 prophets and messengers. Call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala day and night, in the open and close, individually and groups, to everyone. Put so much effort into the da'wah. 950 years alayhi salam called to Allah non-stop. 950 years calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or people say La ilaha illallah. Or people leave the worship that you are worshipping and turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Inna arsalna Nuhan ila qawmihi an anzir qawmaka min qabli an ya'tiyahum adhabun alim. We sent Nuh to his people to warn his tribe and people before a severe punishment comes to them. قال يا قومي, Nuh said, oh my people, إني لكم نذير مبين. I'm a clear warner to you, warning you from the punishment of Allah Azza wa Jal. And أعبدوا الله, worship Allah, the one that deserves that worship. واتقوه وأطيعون, and fear Him and follow His orders. يغفر لكم من ذنوبكم, Allah will forgive you and forgive your sins. ويؤخركم إلى أجل مسمى, and Allah Azza wa Jal will delay you to a certain day. إن أجل الله إذا جاء لا يؤخر لو كنتم تعلمون. The day that Allah ordains will come and can't be delayed if you want to know or you know. And then he said, قال ربي, oh Allah. Nuh said, قال ربي, oh my Lord, إني دعوت قومي ليلا ونهار. Oh my Lord, I called my people during the day and night. فلم يزدهم دعائي إلا فرارا. And my call to them only made them run away from me. I called them during the day and night, and every single hour and minute of the day and night. And every time I call them, they just run away from me. They turn away from me. وَإِنِّي كُلَّمَا دَعَوْتُهُمْ لِتَغْفِرَ لَهُمْ. Every time I call them, for them to come and obtain your forgiveness, for them to come and ask for your forgiveness, جَعَلُوا أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ. They put their fingers in their ears. They don't want to listen to me. They don't want to hear what I'm calling them for. وَاسْتَغْشَوْا ثِيَابَهُمْ, and they cover themselves. And get away, we don't want to listen to you. وَأَصَرُّوا وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا اسْتِكْبَارًا. And they are very firm in denying. And they had pride. وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا اسْتِكْبَارًا. And they had great pride in them. ثُمَّ إِنِّي دَعَوْتُهُمْ جَهَارًا. Oh Allah, then I called them in the open. I called them in the open, I called them in close, I called them in the day, I called them at night, I went to their houses, I went to their gatherings, I spoke them individually, I spoke them in groups. And they only ran away from me. 950 years, ya ikhwani. 950 years. These days, 9 minutes, I can't do da'wah for 9 minutes. Shuhad, people are not listening to me. If you speak to someone for 9 minutes and he doesn't see any response, I don't want to speak to him or anyone else. And Nuh alayhi salam, 950 years calling to Allah Azza wa Jal, non-stop. ثُمَّ إِنِّي أَعْلَنْتُ لَهُمْ وَأَسْرَرْتُ لَهُمْ إِسْرَارًا. I spoke to him in the secret and I spoke to him in the open. I spoke to him in closed doors and open doors. فَقُلْتُ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ. I said to them, ask Allah Azza wa Jal for His forgiveness. إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَّارًا. He is the one that forgives. يرسل السماء عليكم مدرارا ويمددكم بأموال وبنين ويجعل لكم جنات ويجعل لكم أنهارا ما لكم لا ترجون لله وقارا وقد خلقكم أطوارا. And then he's saying, if you worship Allah, Allah will open the heavens to you, and Allah will sustain you, and Allah will give you, and Allah will grant you, and Allah will give you what you want, but turn to Him. Go away, Nuh. We're not interested. 950 years. 950 years. That's not how long he lived for. He called to Allah for 950 years. He lived for much longer than that. He lived for up to 1,200 years. Even more than that. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. But 950 years was just calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. calling to Allah during the day and night non-stop. All this for the sake of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's been narrated that the maximum narration, it says that the followers of Nuh in 950 years did not exceed 80 people. 950 years and Nuh only had 80 people. 80 people. For the call of 950 years, 24/7 work only gets 80 people. Some narration even says 10. Some narration says even 10 people. Some narration says even 10 people. The maximum narrations that's been narrated by the scholars is 80 people. Nuh did not get more than 80 people. 950 years for 80 people? 950 years for 80 people? And Nuh did not get demotivated? Not even one single bit. Continued his da'wah work, calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Take him as an example, ya ikhwani. This is the Prophet. This is a Prophet, a messenger of Allah Azza wa Jal. And 950 years and accepted what Allah Azza wa Jal had written for him for only 80 people to follow him. And this is an example for every da'iyah, that when you call to Allah, don't expect the whole world to follow you one day and night. Remember Nuh, 950 years for 80 people. And this is a Prophet, this is a messenger who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had chosen to be the best of people in this world and the best of people in the hereafter, and accepted 80 followers. Accepted 80 people to listen to him. Accepted 80 people to follow him. Who will we compare to Nuh alayhi salam? But this is a great lesson for every da'iyah who calls to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not about the numbers, and it's not about the results that you see. It's about the duty that you perform. It's about the work that you do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there was a king at the time of Nuh. That king, no doubt, was not ruling by the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that king was not worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal, but he was also a mushrik. He was also a pagan, a Muslim, a mushrik that will associate someone else with the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this king, he realized that at one stage people start to listen to Nuh. Although that this king had ordered his people not to listen to Nuh. He said, from now on, no one sit with Nuh, no one listen to Nuh, and if Nuh comes to your houses, close the doors on him, don't let him enter your houses, don't let him speak to you, don't listen to him, don't sit with him. But he realized that on one stage people start to listen. And who were the vast majority of the followers of Nuh? They were the poor and the weak. And this is the nature of the prophets and the messengers. Their followers are always the poor and the weak. Their followers at the beginning always the poor and the weak, because the rich and the strong does not suit them to follow someone else. They have to start sharing the strength with others. They have to start sharing their wealth with others. So they say to the Prophet or Messenger, I'm not going to follow you. For this is the nature of the prophets and the messengers, that their followers are always the poor and the weak. And from among those, it was Nuh alayhi salam. This king said, why should we follow you? And why should we sit down with you when you've got those poor and weak ones around you? Aradhiluna, the worst ones in our community, you sit down with. If you want to speak to us, fair, we'll speak to you. In return, you keep those weak ones away from us. You'll have, if you want to sit down with them in your own gatherings, that's your business. But in our gatherings, we do not accept them to be around us. We do not accept them to be around us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, فقال الملأ الذين من قومه ما نراك إلا بشرا مثلنا. Well, let's see someone like us. وما نراك اتبعك إلا الذين هم أراذلنا. Only the worst ones and the lowest ones in our community follow you. بادي الرأي, no opinion or respect or decision to them. وما نرى لكم علينا من فضل بل نظنكم كاذبين. What favor do you have over us, or you or them over us? Why should we follow you? So Nuh alayhi salam, he said, وَيَا قَوْمِ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مَالًا. I don't ask you anything in return. I don't want money from you. In أَجْرِي إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that will give me the reward. وَمَا أَنَا بِطَارِدِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. I'm not going to kick these people out. I'm not going to turn these people out. I'm not going to tell them go away. إِنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُ رَبِّهِمْ. They will be facing Allah too. And they'll be judged like you too. So they need to sit down with me like everyone else. وَلَكِنِّي أَرَاكُمْ قَوْمًا تَجْهَلُونَ. And he said, I see you as people with ignorance. And then he said, وَيَا قَوْمِ. Look at these words out of a prophet. وَيَا قَوْمِ مَنْ يَنْصُرُنِّي مِنَ اللَّهِ إِنْ تَرَدتُّهُمْ أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Oh my people, who will support me? Who will stand by me? If I kick these people away and Allah Azza wa Jal will want to punish me, who will stand by me? مَنْ يَنْصُرُنِّي. Who will support me against Allah if I turn these people away? Who's going to stand by me? These are Allah's servants. These people have rights to listen. If I kick them out, who's going to stand by me in front of Allah Azza wa Jal? Who's going to protect me from Allah's punishment? Can't you think? This is not something, wallah, a human being puts together. This is the response of Nuh alayhi salam. He said, وَلَا أَقُولُ لَكُمْ عِنْدِي خَزَائِنُ اللَّهِ وَلَا أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبِ وَلَا أَقُولُ لَكُمْ إِنِّي مَلَكٌ ولا أقول للذين تزدري أعينكم لا يؤتيهم الله خيرا الله أعلم بما في أنفسهم إني إذا لمن الظالمين. He said, I did not say to you that I have the wealth and the treasures of Allah, nor that I know the unseen, nor that I am an angel. And I did not say that these people that you are looking down at, Allah would not give him rewards. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's in their hearts. If I do so or say something, I am from the oppressors, I am from the zalimeen. So they did not listen to him. So if that's the case, we wanted to give you some respect, but you didn't listen to us, then go. And then Nuh alayhi salam will continue his da'wah until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him, Allah Azza wa Jal revealed to him a revelation that was the last da'wah of Nuh alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Nuh alayhi salam, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأُوحِيَ إِلَى نُوحٍ أَنَّهُ لَن يُؤْمِنَ مِنْ قَوْمِكَ إِلَّا مَنْ قَدْ آمَنَ فَلَا تَبْتَئِسْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. Allah revealed to Nuh alayhi salam, O Nuh, no one beside those who are around you became believers will become believer anymore. That's it. So don't bother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Nuh that no one will become a believer after those 80 people who are around you, or those people around you will become believers. So don't bother, because no one is going to become a believer. That's it. The hidayah is closed on these people. Subhanallah. Khalas. Revelation from Allah saying to Nuh, don't waste your time anymore. Whoever you're going to call, whoever you're going to speak to, whoever you're going to preach to, no one is going to listen to you. And if they're going to listen, they're not going to be guided. وَأُوحِيَ إِلَى نُوحٍ أَنَّهُ لَن يُؤْمِنَ مِنْ قَوْمِكَ إِلَّا مَنْ قَدْ آمَنَ. Allah revealed to Nuh that no one from your followers, no one from your tribe or your people will follow you except those who already became believers. So Nuh alayhi salam, he made dua on them. Nuh alayhi salam made dua on his people. And he said, Nuh alayhi salam, he said, Oh Allah, do not keep a kafir on the surface of this earth. Oh Allah, do not keep a kafir on the surface of this earth. He made dua on them for Allah to destroy the kafirin. And Allah accepted the dua of Nuh. And Allah Azza wa Jal destroyed all the kafirin in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Azza wa Jal, in a way that subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His wisdom and the hikmah of Allah Azza wa Jal, His knowledge, He destroyed all the kafirin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Nuh to build an ark, a ship. And to build that ship or ark in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the land. Usually you build a ship, you need to build it next to the ocean, next to the sea, next to the river. So at least that ship goes down in the river and be used. What's the point of you building an ark in the middle of the desert on a mountain? So Nuh alayhi salam was ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to build a ship. And alayhi salam started to build the ship with the guidance of Jibreel. Jibreel came down teaching Nuh alayhi salam how to build that ship, the ark. And he told him, Nuh, what experience does Nuh have? Nuh, what experience does Nuh have in building a ship? What experience does Nuh have in putting wood together? What experience does Nuh have in building a massive ship or ark. So Jibreel alayhi salam came down teaching Nuh how to build the ark. And Nuh stayed 100 years building the ark. Nuh alayhi salam stayed 100 years building the ark. And the people of Nuh will come and mock Nuh alayhi salam and say, "Oh Nuh, did you become a carpenter after you're a prophet? So what, you're a builder now? You're a carpenter? We thought you're a prophet." And they'll mock him. And then they told him, "Oh Nuh, you build a ship in the middle of the desert over a mountain? There's something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you." And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned how that every time come past, they go past Nuh and they say, وَيَصْنَعُ الْفُلْكَ وَكُلَّمَا مَرَّ عَلَيْهِ مَلَأٌ مِّن قَوْمِهِ سَخِرٌ مِّنْهُ. While he's building the ship, while they're building the ship or the ark, they'll come past Nuh and they mock Nuh. سَخِرٌ مِّنْهُ, they mock him, make fun of him. So Nuh will respond back and say, قَالَ إِن تَسْخَرُوا مِنَّا. If you are mocking us and making fun of us, فَإِنَّا نَسْخَرُ مِنْكُمْ كَمَا تَسْخَرُونَ. We will mock you the way you are mocking us. Just a matter of time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them mock them in this dunya and the hereafter. So Nuh alayhi salam will start building the ship. 100 years building that ship. And Nuh alayhi salam, at that time there wasn't many trees in his area. So Nuh alayhi salam will plant that tree, wait for it to grow, and then Nuh alayhi salam will cut that timber and put it into the ark. 100 years until it became a massive ark. How massive? How big? They narrate it's 300 arms length, the arm's length of Adam. So they say it's 1,000 meters long. That's about 1 kilometer. And it's 50 dhira', 50 dhira' width from the dhira' of Adam, which is about 200 meters width. And it's 30 dhira', 30 arms length height, which is about 100 meters high. 100 meters high. See this? That's not even 5 meters. It's 100 meters high. And it was 3 stories. It wasn't an ark or a ship that's opened, it was closed like a ball. Closed. Because Allah told Nuh it was going to rain. So close it. It was a closed ark. 3 stories, 3 gates. For every story, 1 gate. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said about this ark, وَلَقَدْ تَرَكْنَاهَا آيَةً فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. And we had left this ark, we had left this ship as a sign, a miracle to the day of judgment. And this ark till this day exists. They found a part of it in Turkey, and there's other parts that Allah says that. Allah alam, hidden, where, who knows about it? But this ark till this day stays to the day of judgment, as Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran Kareem. And Nuh alayhi salam will continue to build that ship. And he built it alayhi salam with nails. There was nails. Allah taught him how to put the nails together. ذات ألواح ودسر, as Allah said in the Quran Kareem. Alwah, timber, and dusur is nails. Allah mentioned there was nails, timber, put together everything. And Allah taught him how to build it. 100 years, ikhwani. 100 years to build a ark. A massive ark. Being designed and architected by Jibreel alayhi salam. Jibreel alayhi salam showed him how to do it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Nuh alayhi salam, He gave him a sign. When that sign takes place, take you and your family and your followers, and from every animal, 2 different genders, male and female, and go into the ark. And Nuh alayhi salam waited for that sign. And that sign is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَإِذَا فَارَ التَّنُّورِ فَإِذَا فَارَ التَّنُّورِ. And what's the tannoor? Tannoor is the old oven. The old oven they used to use. If you go back in one of the old towns in the Middle East, those old ovens they use, timber inside, and they use it for bread. They call it tanur or firan. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, when water starts to come out of the tanur, then that's the sign for you to go to the ark. And Nuh alayhi salam waited for that sign. And one day, farat tanur, water exploded out of the oven. So Nuh knew it's time. He called upon his followers and went to the ark. And in front of the ark, all the animals from the different genders were waiting in line to enter the ark. Subhanallah, Rahmah, Allah's miracles. From every animal, male, female, was waiting outside the ark. And Nuh alayhi salam went with his 80 of his followers and his family and his wife. And Nuh was married to a wife before that, she was a kafir. And that's where Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا امْرَأَةَ نُوحٍ وَامْرَأَةَ لُوطٍ. Imra'at Nuh, she used to be from the non-believers. Nuh had a non-believing wife, she passed away. Then Allah Azza wa Jalla gave him a believing wife. And he had 4 boys. He had Ham, Sam, Yafith, and Canaan. 3 of those, Sam, Ham, Yafith, were Muslims, and Canaan was a non-believer. And Nuh told him, son, come aboard, be with us. He said, سَآوِي إِلَى جَبَلٍ يَعْصِمُنِي مِنَ الْمَاءِ. Don't worry, I'll survive. I'll go to a high mountain and I'll protect myself. I'll go to a high mountain where I'll protect myself. There's no need. He told him, son, be from the believers or be from among us. Be with us. Canaan refused. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him with the rest of the non-believers being destroyed in the flood. And Nuh alayhi salam will enter the ark, the animals in one place, the human beings in another, and they'll stay in the ark for 6 months. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will order His punishment to come down. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, فَفَتَحْنَا أَبْوَابَ السَّمَاءِ بِمَاءٍ مُنْهَمِرٍ وَفَجَّرْنَا الْأَرْضَ عِيُونًا فَتَقَى الْمَاءُ عَلَى أَمْرٍ قَدْ قُدِرٍ. People think Allah Azza wa Jalla just sent rain. Allah said in this verse, فَفَتَحْنَا أَبْوَابَ السَّمَاءِ, we opened the gates of the heavens. It wasn't just rain, just the gate of the heaven. The gates of the heavens just opened and rain will come down. Not like a normal tap, but a big explosion just came down of water. And not only this, وَفَجَّرْنَا الْأَرْضَ عُيُونًا. Allah Azza wa Jal exploded from the grounds springs with water coming out. So water from the top, water from the bottom. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَالْتَقَى الْمَاء, both water met together, عَلَى أَمْرٍ قَدْ قُدِرٍ, an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this water covered the highest peaks of the mountains. Fully. Not only the Arabian Peninsula, but the whole world was covered with water. The whole world was covered with water, even above the mountains. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the ship as like waving over mountains. Subhanallah, when Allah Azza wa Jalla wants to destroy a nation, Allah will destroy them in His way, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Nuh alayhi salam will be in that ship and ark, him and his believers, for 6 months. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Nuh to make dua, رَبِّ أَنزِلْنِي مُنزِلًا مُبَارَكًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْمُنزِلِينَ. Oh Allah, make me land on a good landing, and you are the best of those who give hospitality. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Azza wa Jal, for 6 months protected Nuh and his followers in the ark. And then Allah Azza wa Jal ordered the ground to swallow the water. وَقِيلَ يَا أَرْضُ ابْلَعِي مَاءَكِ. Oh ground, swallow your water. So the ground swallowed the water, and then the flood's gone. Nuh alayhi salam is in the cover, he doesn't know. 6 months under the rain, water from the top, water from the bottom. So Nuh alayhi salam used to send bird, he used to send a pigeon, and every day that pigeon would come back with nothing. So one day he sent that pigeon and it came back with a leaf from an olive tree. So Nuh realized that now the water's drying. And then after that, for a few days, he sent that pigeon again. He came back with mud on his feet. So Nuh realized that now the water is dry. And where did the ark stop? It stopped on a mountain called Judi. Mountain called Judi, and that mountain is in Turkey. And then Nuh alayhi salam came out with 80 people, and only 80 people living on the surface of this earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him and those 80 people and the rest of the animals. And the rest of the animals. And Nuh alayhi salam came out knowing that there is no one living on the surface of this earth. And not only this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made all the followers of Nuh not to have any descendants, no more children. All the descendants stopped. All the wives were barren except Nuh and his family. And that's why they call Nuh the second Adam. Because all the descendants go back to Nuh alayhi salam, no one else. And Nuh alayhi salam had 4 boys. Sam, Ham, Yafith. From Sam, the Arabs and the Jews come from Bani Israel. From Ham, the Africans and more of the black people come from him. Yafith, most of the Eastern Europe and Eastern Europe and Russians come from Yafith. And that's why the children of Ham were white with a bit of darkness in them. The children of Sam, they were white with a bit of darkness in them. And they were the Arab and the Bani Israel. Ham, they were dark with a bit of white in them, and the other Africans. And Yafith, they were blonde and red. And they all from the East, and most of them from Eastern Europe and the Russians. And that's where most of the people go back to. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said that in the Quran al-Kareem, وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ هُمُ الْبَاقِينَ. And we made the descendants of Adam, we made the descendants of Nuh the everlasting descendants. No one after Nuh or at the time of Nuh had kids or any descendants except Nuh. Everyone goes back to Nuh alayhi salam. And Nuh alayhi salam lived 350 years after the flood. And he was a righteous servant of Allah. He used to worship Allah Azza wa Jal constantly, and he used to fast every single day except the Eid days. He used to accept the Eid days. And he passed away alayhi salam, and most of the narration says he was buried in Mecca. He was buried in Mecca. Some narration says he's buried in Sham, in Lebanon. But most of the narration says that Nuh alayhi salam was buried in Mecca. And in Mecca, some scholars say there's hundreds of prophets and messengers that were buried there. This is the story of Nuh, ikhwani. An example for the du'at. A great example for the du'at to realize the importance of da'wah and never give up on you with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah next week with the story of Hud and Salih and the rest of the great prophets and messengers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept